Hello there, folks, and welcome to Mac Shack. I am here with my esteemed panel of judges. We've got Mike from Mike's Mac Shack. We've got Steve from Mac 84. Jay is lurking in the background. I'm guessing something interesting has happened between when we started the intro and finished it. But Jay is here.
He's in the toilet.
Yeah. And me, Bruce from Raggers Creations. Hello to everyone. I hope you're all well. We have got an absolutely jam-packed show tonight. There are loads and loads of fantastic topics, and I think the whole thing of going fortnightly has actually been a really good thing. Sort of sat down to have a look at the topics and thought, wow, we've got a show. So how's everyone been? Anyone been up to anything interesting? Steve, let's start with you.
Oh, well, we'll be talking about this throughout the whole show because everyone wants to hear about the Quadrate 40AV. And GT's video is there. He is. I've been okay. I've been just poking around with things as usual.
I detect some ups and downs.
Well,
some highs and lows.
Well, that Quadrate 40AV I've been poking around with for almost 5 years or so finally decided to show some life, and I got a wee bit excited. I think we have a bit of a clip here to play. I'll start playing it, and we'll it's long, so we'll play the whole thing. But the other night I started poking around with the board after I cleaned up a Mac 2. I was using a speaker for it, and the speaker wasn't making any noise. And I thought, well, that's weird. And as I'm fixing up the Mac 2, it dawned on me, I was using that speaker for the Quadrate 40AV. And I'm like, wait a second. Maybe that speaker, was why the Quadra wasn't chiming. And that was not the case, but it made me dig out the machine anyway. And lo and behold, I soldered a few things and pushed the power button, and this is what happened.
It chimed! Holy crap! It chimed! Did you hear that? It chimed! God.
Yeah, I was a little bit excited.
I didn't hear a chime there.
Oh, it was very soft. It was away from the microphone. Now, the machine still has issues, but hearing that chime made me very excited. We then proceeded to plug in a monitor. There was a display on the monitor. It was having some SCSI issues, so I had to fix 2 more traces. Then it would actually boot, but it would only boot with extensions off. It wouldn't accept a floppy disk. It was upset about that. And so Bruce had the very bright idea to ultrasonically clean it to fix all of those problems.
Can I just I want to clarify something here because I want to actually tell you the advice that I gave. This is the advice that I gave. I said,
no, I didn't hear.
Now it is time for you to go in, fix up all of those shonky trace repairs where you've actually got wires soldered to 2 microns of via sticking out the top of the board and held on with Captain tape. And then ultrasonically clean it. Now that's what I said, but the
I didn't
part,
listen to that part.
Must have got lost in translation.
It got lost in the cleaner. That's what happened.
So it went into the cleaner with the tape on, I think.
Yeah. Just so the reason the tape was there is there's a bit of a nasty bit under the AT&T digital signal processor that I had to put a piece of tape on because whenever I was moving the board around, at one point in time, one of those little caps started to go. And so I fixed that. I put the little solder mask on it, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want that happening again. So I put a piece of tape on that. So I put it in the cleaner, and I did 15 minutes for each side. So it was in there for an hour. And so I brought it out. It looks absolutely beautiful, which is nice. And I go to turn it on, and no chime. So we went backwards. And that was the stream I did the previous night. And then eventually during that stream, we did get it to chime, but we got a video signal without the rounded corners and no cursor. So I was stumped again, and that's where we ended it last night. So about 3 or 4 a.m., I was thinking, you know what? I have nothing better to do. I went downstairs, and I noticed, and I'm going to try and share this image here, but in my defense, all of the areas that I made a little soldering job changed to. It
And
actually,
someone starts with, "In my defense," it means he messed something up.
no, they all those little jobs that weren't they were all with all these squiggly wires and everything. They actually were okay. They connected with the multimeter. There were no problems with that. This is what exactly, Bruce. This is what I found. This little tiny baby little wire next to the resistor pack 22 appeared okay, but if you probed it with the multimeter, it just looked a little dirty. When you probed it, it was not doing anything. So I shoved a little wire down the via, I soldered it, and we got rounded corners. We got a cursor. It booted up. There's still something a bit wonky with the memory slot. The first memory slot, it seems to work if you put it in. The machine will boot up. But if you load the rest of the slots up with memory and then add a slot of memory to that, it doesn't detect what's in there. If I go to open the control panels or do a search, the machine freezes. But we're making progress. The floppy drive now says the disk can't be read instead of freezing the machine. So slowly but surely, there are more signs of life out of this thing. And don't worry, Bruce. I will still take you up with that offer when I get bored of it, and you could go fix it.
Well, I mean, I love the way that this board is teasing you. It's just giving you a little bit to keep you interested. It noticed that you were starting to drift, you were starting to fall out of love with the thing, and so then it gives you a little bit to keep you there. So it's wonderful. I think we can get another 5 years out of this either.
I'll be there with like an eye patch, like looking at it.
So, Jay, how about you? Anything interesting happened to you this week?
Well, I got to see what Steve's face would have looked like on Christmas when he was a child. That face of excitement is just.
I had zero expectations that it would chime, and the whole time I was doing that repair, I was not getting my hopes up because I'm like, this isn't going to do it either.
So we got to have a poll now. Who was the better, a person saying it chimed or it bonged? Because we got to put Grudy. We'll have to put a poll up there.
Yeah.
Well, I think Grudy literally scared the crap out of his dogs. Like fecal matter was projected. I kept it contained as long as you could tell on the stream. No, there's no physical evidence of that. So yeah, tell.
Speaking of your repair, I have nothing against the tape. My issues are solely with what's underneath the tape. But if any of us that have ever opened up a PowerBook G4 or a first or second generation MacBook Pro know that at least 20 miles of Kapton tape is perfectly acceptable in an Apple product. So that's all good.
I did cut down the wire that was this long into this long. So I am making progress. Once everything is rock solid, that's when everything gets nailed down permanently because I'm not touching it. But right now, if I breathe on something and it starts working, then I get concerned.
Apart from that, I got some new Flux in today.
Ooh.
That I will be playing with tonight or tomorrow.
And will we be seeing your sort of your thoughts on that? Maybe a YouTube or something along those lines? I think
is all I have to offer.
Okay, so we're going to have to work on that. We'll have to work on that to make sure that you do.
Yeah.
How about you, GT? You been up to anything interesting?
Not a whole lot. just hanging around here. We got nothing on the bench over. I was just looking over to see. I do have a graphics card I'll be sending to Jay to see if he can work his magic.
You haven't sent it yet? Come on.
No, I haven't sent it yet, but it's one I found out or got off a recycle. It's probably like I want to say probably $900 to $1,000 graphics card that blew a cap and it burnt through a couple of the board layers. So we'll see if Jay can work his magic there.
At least it doesn't have screws going through it like Bruce's graphics card did.
Well, the thing about this one, Jay, is these caps are through-hole caps. They're not surface mount. So that could be a little tricky there. But
that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned, get it out to me before May 9th, because then I start my new job and I'll be busy for weeks. And if in the chaos I accidentally return GT120, it happens.
Yeah, I showed you a picture of a GT120 and this honking monster. And
I do most of my work in the dark, so it can happen.
Even in the dark, I don't think you can mix.
Well, I hear Sean of Action Retro started recapping analog boards for his systems. Just send it his way. He'll do it for free. He told me.
Mike, how about you? Anything interesting?
Nope, just work. I did get my PowerBook 540 to boot, though.
Well, that's something.
It's not really as epic as Steve's Quadro, but
Was there something drastically wrong with it, or that got repaired?
No,
or?
power supply. I bought it, and the power supply was dead. And I bought it sight unseen. Well, I didn't buy it sight unseen, but I bought it in unknown condition. So, and I didn't pay a lot for it, but paid more than I probably would have for your typical non-functioning as-is computer. Let's just put it that way. So, thanks to Steve, he lent me a power supply to creatively borrow for a while, and he made sure to put all of his labels on it to mark its territory. So I definitely will not be forgetting that it is Steve's power supply until I can find one, because they are harder to find than the actual computers are.
Well, I will say, I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but Ron of Ron's Computer Videos is working on a solution. And that's all I'm going to say. I've seen an image of it, and I think it is promising.
Holy shit, hell froze over.
I'm so confused. I'm so confused right now.
Why do we have some Duck Dynasty guy here? We got to remove him.
Okay. All right, Grudy. What have you been up to?
He looks like he just got out of the woods.
I thought you
literally
shaved.
just got home. I got home just now. Yeah.
Now, when was the last time we saw you on the show? It's got to be a few weeks now.
Just get his mic off. See what you
It
did?
was early March.
And would anything interesting have happened that might be worthy of telling a MacYak audience?
That doesn't
No.
involve your truck breaking down.
Are you getting sick?
You,
Oh, well.
Jay. Yeah, I didn't shave.
Wait, no, we couldn't notice.
Well, I had Jay thinking that I shaved about 2 weeks ago.
Didn't you?
I
You
knew it
mocked
was
up
good
an image or
too
something,
good to be
didn't you?
true.
Yeah. I just used one of those beardless filters on my camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And Jay,
I think I'm
fell
last
for
in
it?
the list.
The shame of us thinking that you take personal hygiene into account.
Hey.
So I'm just looking at this here. So I've been given my own little bit here to talk about an ultrasonic cleaner video. So isn't that fun? So
Well, with the numbers that we have been seeing, you kind of had to.
Yeah. Well, I've been talking. So obviously, I made my own ultrasonic cleaner a while ago. I think I'd made it in I think the beginning of 2020. So it's about 2 years, and I've been promising that I would make a video on it for a really long time. And during my live streams and stuff, people saying, "Oh, Bruce, when's the ultrasonic cleaning video coming? When's it coming?" I had filmed a lot of it. I had done a lot of the production. I had done all of the audio. I had a lot of B-roll to do. I had to do all of the talking to the camera bits. And then someone, I think it was Mike, happened to point out that someone else had very, very recently, someone with a much bigger channel than I have, had very recently released a making your own ultrasonic cleaner video as well. And I thought, I've got to get this out, So I, went in. I worked for like kind of 3 days solid just to get it all finished. Got it out. It performed reasonably well. It sat at around about 5th place in terms of my, sort of my video performance. So it wasn't great, but it was okay. And then about 4 days in, I went to bed at night. I woke up the next morning and the numbers had gone through the roof. As in it had just gone crazy. And all of a sudden it's then in, sort of, second position, and now it's in first position, and now it has got to the point where, just to give you an idea of the sort of performance of the thing, if I look at my top videos sort of in the last 28 days, it's sitting in #1 position, and it hasn't even been out for 28 days yet. So it's sitting on, I don't know, 20-something thousand. I'm not sure.
What Bruce is trying to say is he's all going to buy us ultrasonic cleaners.
Well, it's really interesting. It's obviously struck a chord. YouTube have been serving it up as a suggestion for a lot of people, and that's why so many people have been watching it. And I've been getting lots and lots of feedback, lots of comments, lots of people telling me how it might work if I tried something different. A lot of people telling me that I'm doing everything wrong. Actually, in truth, there's only been a couple of people like that. But it's, for example, I mean, the one that I love is when someone just out and out says, don't put a computer circuit board into an ultrasonic cleaner, you'll destroy it. And of course, I'm sort of thinking to myself, well, I wish he'd told me before I cleaned the 500 boards I've done so far.
Comments, actually?
That was actually one on.
And I actually got a comment. Yeah, I'll read it verbatim. I wouldn't recommend this. It could procure solder cracks and broken bonding wires inside integrated circuits. I've never heard that before.
I haven't either.
Yeah. So I think Bruce and I would have noticed by now.
That's right. I think
be one of these people that puts a board in an oven to reflow it, right?
I mean,
by the way,
the proof is in the pudding. Ultimately,
it's getting cut off. 28,000 views. 28,000.
And I should also mention it's been a very, very good thing for my subscriber numbers as well. The last few days I have picked up. Let me have a look. I picked up 136 subscribers yesterday, 142 the day before, 101 the day before that, 92 before the day before that. So it's actually the subscriber numbers are just growing immensely at the moment, which is great. I mean, I really can't complain about that at all. That to me is really, I mean, when it comes to the channel, you want those subscriber numbers to go up because it puts me in a very difficult predicament because what do I do next? I mean, I've got to try and figure out how to capitalize on this and start doing more ultrasonic stuff. And of course, another thing I should mention is I got in the mail yesterday a Macintosh 2FX logic board from the UK. So that's another interesting thing that's happened to me this week. So
well, everything will go in the ultrasonic, and that'll be the story. So.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, I think let's start the show, shall we? How about that? Let's do this. So, topics. Apple's new M1 Macs don't support USB 3.1 Generation 2 speeds. Well, poor Steve. You going to send it back?
It's fast for me.
Steve is the only one that does, from what
Apparently.
I read.
I Jay, you talk about this first, but I read the article and Jay and I were both like, huh?
Yeah, apparently the Mac Studio, the ports on the front only, if I remember correctly, this was 2 weeks ago. So the ports on the front do full speed. A bunch of the MacBook Pros, the iMac, and I believe some other M1 Macs don't even come close to it.
Huh.
So
yeah, I think with the M1 Mac Mini, Mac Studio rather, if you have the Max model, obviously you lose the 2 additional Thunderbolt ports on the front. Instead, you get the USB-C ports, and so that's what I have. I have the lower end model, but it apparently, I guess the problem here is with the Thunderbolt bus downclocking to a USB 3 spec or whatever the magic is that happens with that. But since this one has USB 3 built in via the USB-C port instead of Thunderbolt, it works. I mean, look, to be brutally honest, I'm using spinner drives as externals on this thing. I'm not going to see that performance hit even if it was just USB 3.1 generation 1 or whatever it is. USB 3C is something that's fairly new to me, and I have no devices that would take advantage of it. I have this little Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3 adapter that I haven't even played with yet. So I'm a bit old there, so I don't know like what things would even take advantage of this unless you have like super fast SSDs plugged into that port. But I guess if you're doing that, then that's a problem, and it sucks because why the heck would they do this? I mean, Apple's always been a little behind with USB 2 and stuff like that. So, I mean, that sort of sucks. But if it's as easy as doing a firmware update or something like that, hopefully that fixes an issue.
So
yeah, it might just be a software thing, but I just set up an external hard drive right before the show. That's gonna host part of my Plex server, and it's still FireWire 800. and that's fast enough for me. So even if I get a Mac Studio or whatever comes after this Mac Pro, whatever it has, it's going to be 500 times faster than what I'm used to anyway, even if it's not full speed.
The
I guess if
question
you're looking at someone who is editing, video editing or something like that, and you buy the Mac Studio where you're locked into the size of the SSD. Now, I realize that it should be possible to upgrade the internal SSD, but let's say for the moment that it's not. So if you're doing video editing and something like that, you're forced into using external drives and you wanting them to be as fast as possible as external. So they're I would think they are probably editing professionals that are complaining about this.
All right. Well, I was reading an article here, and it says that the speeds are only there on the Mac Studio Max. So it's not on the other Mac Studios, or is it?
Well, that's what I was saying, because the Mac Studio Max has 2 USB-C ports on the front of it, whereas the Ultra one replaces those with Thunderbolt ports. So the Max one actually can take advantage of USB 3.1 Gen 2, as the article says. But since those ports are actually Thunderbolt on the newer one, if you plug a non-Thunderbolt device like a USB 3.1 Generation 2 port, it won't fully support that speed for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So the Max is the
Max
lower
is the yes.
the two.
Yeah.
So the lower model supports USB 3.1 Gen 2, but the Ultra, which is the higher model, does not.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
It's safe to say that all of the ports are faster than the ones I have on my 2012 MacBook.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're looking at, especially if you're using, straight up Thunderbolt 4 peripherals, I believe it would be faster than the 3.1 even, correct?
Sure.
I don't have any sense.
Thunderbolt is stupid quick, but it's also stupid expensive. So I mean, that's the trade-off here, I suppose.
Steve is the only one here with a studio. I'm starting to mix up names now. With a studio, so Steve is going to buy every available dock, and he'll be testing them for us.
I'm accepting donations. Please send them my way. I can't afford that crap.
When I had, we're talking G4 and early Intels, the QB Mac Minis. I had the LaCie docks that were the exact same size that were sitting underneath with a hard drive in it and all the ports on the back. Are they making that stuff for the studio too? That would be cool.
I saw someone do I don't know if it's coming like next week or next year. There was something in one of the Macrumors threads of one of these companies showing off like, hey, this is what we're creating. I would guess that, well, I guess it doesn't work. Either way, it would work fine because the Mac Studio has the intake from the bottom. But if you would put something on the bottom of that should be fine. But honestly, I have a USB-A a hub, and that's really all I've had to plug into it because this thing has a surprising number of ports on it. You got the SD card reader in the front, got the USB ports in the front, and USB-A in the back, and you have an HDMI. So I'm pretty much using. In fact, I'll show the back of the machine. I'm pretty much using all of the
Mac
ports.
84 behind the scenes.
So I'm pretty much using everything except 3 Thunderbolt ports, which I'm having adapted to the display port. I have a headphone splitter there. I have HDMI for one display. I have the 2 USB-A ports and all that stuff. So, that is what's going on behind the scenes there. But it's no problems yet.
Nice.
That's good.
Yes, well, I think I think really with this, the majority of people who are using these devices are not going to be impacted, but maybe the absolute top of the line professionals are going to have a bit of a whinge about it. So, but I think for most of us, really wouldn't matter, and it's going to be decades before I own one of these anyway.
Yeah, I'm still years away from the point where I said to where it actually happens, where I said, "Oh, I'll pick up a 2019." Mac Pro for under $1,000. That is still 10 years away. So the Mac Studio will be even further away.
Well, I still see people trying to sell their 6,1s for over $1,000. So
yeah,
and those things are not even near upgradable. So
they're pretty. That's about it.
All righty. Well, I think we managed to flog that one. So on to our next topic. And we are going to be talking about Apple has finally taken its server app behind the barn to shoot it. Apple Server Enterprise offerings. Okay, so we see what. Okay, so let me do that again without all the really painful reading here, without my good glasses on. So basically, Apple have been releasing. Actually, tell you what, I'm going to hand this over to you, Jay. You give us the intro on this. You know all about this stuff.
All right. Well, before we get into that,
Smash that like button.
had to get that done. Yes, Apple used to be fairly active in the whole server/enterprise market. You had the Xserves. I think the G4 had a server configuration. Before that, that big honking thing that Dana has. What's it called? Apple Network Server.
Yeah.
They've always had some kind of server hardware or software offering. And after High Sierra, or actually after Snow Leopard, they moved to a server app. No longer a dedicated server operating system. It became an app in Lion. And it sucked. And every version of macOS since then had its corresponding server app version, which sucked more and more and more and more. To the point where after High Sierra, the server app that came out for Mojave only had like 3 services left that no one really used, because the file sharing had moved to macOS, caching server had moved to macOS, so you didn't need a server app for that anymore. And now they finally decided, hey, we are looking ridiculous here. Why are we even doing this? Let's just stop doing a server app altogether. And I'm glad they did, because all my servers are running High Sierra because it still has the web server, the FTP, VPN, all that stuff built in. And yeah, I don't know anyone that would currently spin up a very expensive Mac piece of hardware, buy the server app, which I believe is still $20 or something, to run. I don't even know what it runs. Nothing useful. So
I mean, an interesting thing is that within sort of the Linux, Unix sort of framework, there are lots and lots and lots of server apps available. A lot of them are sort of free, and all you have to do is install them. And what the server app has been doing is essentially just tying all those sorts of things together with a graphical user interface. It's but I mean, I still have one. I've got 2 minis behind me underneath the TARDIS, and I think yes, underneath the TARDIS there, and they are. One of them has High Sierra server running on it, and the other one is running Ubuntu Linux on it, and a free application called ISP Config. And to be honest, I'm going to be retiring the Apple one soon. I mean, since I've set up the Ubuntu one, it's sort of, I'm pretty much just moving everything across to that because it's so much more capable. And it's all of that stuff is just really polished on the Ubuntu platform. It's
and still actively developed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I mean there are regular updates for that software as they go. I mean, what I would be suggesting to people, if you were wanting to, potentially set up like a web server on your computer, rather than going down the path of getting the server sort of app, would be to just get it, look into MAMP. I think it's MAMP, MAMP.
Yeah.
And that allows you, it's because essentially when they're talking about web servers, web servers in the PHP space, they refer to as a LAMP stack. So it's Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, LAMP. And then MAMP is Macintosh instead of Linux. So it's Macintosh, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And you can install that into a really nice little, graphically controlled thing to be able to switch on and switch off. And so if you're wanting to just do a web server type thing, that would be what I'd recommend to people on a Mac these days. I think, it's much more polished.
Yeah. And this is the web page from Apple. We are currently at server version 5.7.1. But if you scroll down, this is all the service status table. For all the good stuff, they removed many versions ago. Version
Yeah.
5.4, FTP server docs went away. VPN is gone. DNS is gone. All the stuff you would want out of a server, OS or app, they stripped out years ago. And they've been giving, recommendations for alternatives for those services. None of them are, free, or maybe some of them are free, but free ones aren't very good. So
Terrible.
if you have a server running, stick with High Sierra if you know how to properly secure it, both the operating system and the network, or just do what Bruce did, move to what was it, Ubuntu, and
Yeah. And I would recommend to people, if people are wanting to set up a web server. So this is more focused around web serving rather than say file serving or something like that. I would recommend having a look at a product called ISP Config for Linux. It's free. I mean, they ask you to donate money. They have a very extensive manual, and you have to pay for the manual. So you can just use it for free, but they sort of encourage you, hey, help us out by buying the manual from us. And it's designed not just around someone setting up a website, but it's around someone setting up a web hosting service. So the idea that you can actually create clients within it, that then those clients have access to their own websites. So if you're sharing hosting space with other people, so as people may have heard of a product called cPanel or WHM, Web Host Manager, it's essentially the same as that, but it's a free version of it. And so if anyone is wanting to go down that path, that's what I'd really recommend. There's lots of information on setting it up on Ubuntu. You can run multiple versions of PHP and then configure which PHP you want for a particular website, that sort of stuff. So really good product. Opinions. I mean, do you think this was a good move by Apple? Do you think Apple should have never got into this space, or do you think they should still be sinking loads of money and making the stuff really good, or do you think it's just the pulling out of that space altogether was the way to go?
I think it's the way to go.
Well, here I am just sitting here thinking my server's still running 10.5.8 because it's an Xserve G4. But, it never really penetrated the market. What they did was great. It was a very great operating system when it was an operating system. But by the time they went to the app and stuff, it just wasn't really worth it anymore. And, no one, hi, Dana, no one really cared after that, or really even before that. So I think it was smart for them to finally can it, but it was great at the time when it was around and really being developed.
Well, Jay, didn't you get some flack for saying it's about time it got put down?
Yeah, I think it came up in one of the Facebook groups, and I said they should have put this out of its misery years ago. And someone, I don't know if it was a joke or serious, said, "Hey, I used to work on this app." Like,
they're talking about server?
Yeah, that's why I saw that same comment.
You talking about server?
Must have been a short week because it only had 3 services left. But yeah, they should have saved themselves the embarrassment years ago, I think. Now, if I set up a 10.6 Snow Leopard server today, it will do anything you want. That was so full-featured, so stable,
you set me up with
capable. Yeah. But of course, for security reasons and all that, it's just not a good idea to go that far back for a server. But
now, do we think that's why Apple canned this? Was it they were too lazy or not interested from a profitability standpoint of updating the server application?
I think they got out of the hardware server market, so I don't think.
Well, no, they certainly did, but
software follow. I mean, remember, Apple's a hardware and software company, and if the hardware's gone, then the software is pretty.
I mean, when they discontinued the Xserve in 2009, the Mac Mini became the next logical choice. It was cheaper, drew less power, and just as capable with the server app on it. But I just don't think the people that are serious about servers want one thing: redundancy. And Mac Mini doesn't have 2 power supplies. You can't mirror 2 systems so one takes over when the other one fails. For a lot of corporations, that was the reason to say, no, we're not doing this.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder too, because remember when they came out with the Mac, the new Mac Pro, the 2019 Mac Pro, they had a rack-mounted version, which everybody thought was going to be the new server version, correct? So
Not for 10 grand, it's not.
Well, I understand that, but still, you would think if you're going to rack mount something like that, then that would probably become a server. So I'm not sure why Apple didn't still go the server route, but started getting rid of the apps.
I mean, the only reason why they really did it was for like music developers because they use a lot of rack mount equipment.
That's true too. Yeah.
So
I think at the end of the day, they just have to admit defeat. I mean, if you have someone like me who is an absolutely avid Mac user, if there was something of good quality for me to use or something like that, I'd be using it. But the fact that I've got a Mini with Ubuntu on it, I think speaks volumes about the fact that there are way better options out there and free options out there. So I mean, why are you going to go down the path of paying for something for an Apple when I can set something like this up for free? So I mean, my first experience with the server software, I think, was 10.3. I think there was a server version of that. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The tools that it gave us in that package was just wonderful. But yeah, I think at this stage, it was a foregone conclusion. It was inevitable.
Yeah, and I think when Apple fails to deliver something that's unique and easy to use and turnkey and stuff like that for a specific market like servers or anything like that, then it begs the question, well, why are they still doing it? And I'd rather have Apple, cut the dead weight from things that they aren't making great and just focus elsewhere. Because
MacBook Air.
The company has grown tenfold since when they introduced the Xserve and all this stuff, and there's so many products they're in now, from displays to all these accessories and iOS stuff that the company look, you hire so many more employees, more managers, more team members to create and build and stuff, do the stuff. There's only so many people who are actually going to use that. So
would you like a display to help you better see Monterey?
They must have taken a hard look at the numbers and the download quotas of this and just realized it's not going to cut it. So.
And even with the Xserve, and as great as Mac OS Server used to be, their slice of the pie in that industry and environment was so small. It was more PR than I highly doubt they ever made a profit off that stuff. Ever.
When you look at like what they've been doing with enterprise on things like iPhones, that's obviously something that would be very profitable for them, because a big organization just goes and rolls out iPhones for every single employee, and they can be very easily controlled and managed by all of those enterprise tools that they've made available for for people doing that. You could see them focusing a lot of energy into something like that. But yeah, I mean, for things like like service space, I just don't think. Yeah, as you say, I just don't think there would have been any profitability in it for Apple whatsoever.
That was the majority of their focus in the last few versions of the server app, was mobile device management, which is really neat. I played with it a lot. I set it up for a lot of clients, especially when you have the device enrollment program. The second you open it from Apple, it connects to your server. It downloads all the right profiles. Your email is set up. It's all super nifty. But even in that area, there are other products that do it just way, way better. So I just don't think they had anything useful to offer at all.
I agree. Totally agree.
Okay. Well, I think we've done that one. So shall we move on? Next one is Apple is purging the App Store of apps that are not receiving updates anymore. Now, who would like to intro this one? Away you go, Steve.
I just want to say I've been personally affected by this, so I have an axe to grind.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You go, and then I'll have my little say on it.
Yeah. So essentially, and this isn't anything new. Apple has been doing this for a few years now. I think it's just more pronounced now. They're taking another approach to this, and developers are noticing. But the issue is, if your app is dormant, if you don't update it, let's say every year or so, and this is not the majority of the apps. You have to think like the big apps that are out there, they're pushing updates every few weeks, every few months, etc. But the mom and pop people who are just, releasing a homebrew app, doing whatever they want to do for every once in a while, those people are the ones that are unfortunately seeing a larger effect of this. So whenever, I think it was iOS 11 when the stickers app functionality was released, I read a little article online. I watched one of the WWDC videos, and I said, "Oh, I could do that. It's just PNGs, and you export a bunch of images." So I did little drawings of rabbits, and I did like little rabbit stickers, and I put them in the App Store. There was like 99 cents, and I, had it on my phone, and I got a few dollars from it. It never ever paid for the developer fee that I would pay yearly for. It was like a drop in the bucket compared to that. But I was like, okay, whatever. It's a little fun thing to do. And I got an email out of the blue one day that just said that my app was removed, and it said reason, and just said has not been updated. I'm like, well, what the hell is there to update? It's a bunch of images. It's not like they released new iMessage, sticker functionality. And in fact, if you just open that old project and you tried to publish it, you would get errors because for whatever reason, the Xcode template that Apple provided when this functionality came out and still provided in the tutorial section just now doesn't work with the newer version of Xcode. Nobody bothered to fix that, at least the previous time I looked at this, which was maybe 2.5 years ago. But my app was just gone. I wrote a response saying, what does it matter if my app is updated? The content is just images. This doesn't negatively affect anyone. It's not a security risk. Blah, blah. Of course, nobody ever got back to me. But it's just one of those things that there's this standard, I guess, that I don't know if it's guidelines or what. When this happened to me, I looked at their guidelines. I didn't see anything about this, that they just are just purging these apps they consider older, or that there's no longer has been an update in X amount of time, I guess a year or two. And so in my personal opinion, it's pretty silly. Now, I completely understand if you are providing a service and the app is getting poor reviews and people are complaining that I bought this and it doesn't work. That's a completely different story. If you have an app out there, a novelty thing or whatever it is, if there's something that is still working, then why kill it? Or at least open up, here's a radical idea, open up a dialogue and say, hey, we've noticed, automated message, we've noticed your app has been idle for like a year or whatever. Update it within 90 days, or this may happen. Why don't you give everybody a heads up? But anyway, that's me.
I think Garth has a point. I don't know, if it's accurate or not. Only Apple knows, but it does make sense.
Well, how would that affect stickers?
There's spy stickers.
Spy stickers.
Sending information to China.
My stickers were up to no good.
For anyone who's not had any experience with app development, ultimately you apply for a sort of a development account with Apple, and you give some information about yourself and stuff like that, and then if you get approved, you then have to pay. It's like in Australian dollars, it's 100 and something a year, and with that, you get access to all of the development stuff. So you get onto the development website and you can download all the dev stuff. And there's quite a lot of good stuff to be able to download there, in the dev section of Apple's website. Then when you build an app, you then need to submit it to Apple for approval, and there are certain things they look at. I have actually had situations where I have had an app that I built for a company and then an app that I built for another company, and I've had one approved and the other one rejected, even though they were virtually the same app. Having said that, they do have an appeals process, and everyone that I've ever sent through has ended up getting approved on appeal. But these aren't apps that are sort of active anymore. They were associated around, sort of a rewards program type thing. But the one thing I just wanted to mention about this whole situation is right at this given moment, I think Apple is just shy of 2 million different apps on the App Store. And so it is my opinion that dormant old apps that haven't been updated should be removed from the App Store. Certainly ones that haven't been updated for compatibility with the latest versions of iOS. If you are in a situation where you are going to download an app and it's not going to work on the latest iOS, then yeah, I get that totally. I do definitely agree with Steve that I think a warning, and even if it was a 30-day warning, essentially, this is our intention. If you don't complete an update within this time frame, your app is going to be removed, rather than your app has been removed. I think that would probably be a better way of doing it. But I totally understand. I mean, we went from this situation where the App Store made people millionaires overnight in the olden days, when there were people just sort of releasing apps and then they were getting downloaded and they were, games and all sorts of stuff. And there's an app for that whole thing. But now we've got this situation with this incredibly saturated market. And I think keeping that tidy is actually a really good thing. I think it benefits end users, and it obviously benefits Apple as well. So I've really got no issue with them doing some house cleaning. They could perhaps just do it in a nicer way.
I think one minor thing I just want to add to that, Bruce, is it's not only that the app is removed from the store, but it also kills if you had that installed in your device and you refresh your device. It's no longer downloadable from your purchases. It's just gone.
That was my question.
Okay, yeah, but see, the problem with that is from a software archive standpoint, there are apps that made the iPhone what it is, and they are no longer anywhere to be found on the App Store, which goes to a broader discussion of app preserving software and history and all this stuff. But it also sucks that you had a really great app that worked with, let's say, a piece of hardware, a toy or a gadget or a drone or something like that. That company has since folded. The developer has maybe lapsed on their payment and it's no longer in the App Store. But with that app, the device still functions. Without it, it doesn't. And then you get into these situations where now the thing you brought is waste, and so, like Bruce said, there has to be maybe some sort of way, and obviously that's sort of an edge case, a stress case where,
that's exactly what I was going to say, Steve, is that because, for instance, this is an old iPad 2, okay? You can no longer update it, with the latest iOS or whatnot, but it still works with some of the older apps. And let's say I have to redo this one of these days and redo the iOS version on here, and I want to put all those old apps back on, like you just said. Now I can't re-download them again, because unless I go and get the IPSW and save it to my iTunes, then I could do it that way. But a lot of people don't know how to do that, and they think that it's going to be in my purchase history. I could go back to my purchase history, hit the download button, which, to be honest with you, that should still be a functionality of it. If you purchased it, you should be able to download that, because Apple makes it really hard for people to actually back up their IPSWs. If you're tech savvy like us, we know how to do it, but you get a lot of people.
They should keep that stuff on a separate server. What is it costing them to keep a 50 meg app there? I know that's multiplied by 1 billion, but I mean the cost that we pay for iCloud and all this stuff, or iTunes, whatever.
Exactly.
They keep plenty of older versions around. If I put Skype or my security camera software, I click download. It says, "Sorry, your iOS is 10 years old. We can't do this. Would you like to get an older version?" Yeah, I would. So why is that not an option?
And that stopped happening on some of my devices. It just says, "Oh, we can't download this."
Well,
so I don't know if an app just never had an older version, or
here's
if it's
something
just
to think about is Tiger. You could still get all the updates by just going through the update on Tiger. Yeah. So they're still holding. And those updates are way older than some of these apps.
Yeah, that's Apple's software. That's not third-party company software.
Yeah. I understand that, but still.
I mean, the App Store has changed significantly over the last few years. The amount of devices, the resolutions, all the stuff they have to support has changed over the years. So I get it. And personally, if I find an app and I see that the last update was 3-4 years ago, I don't even try it, because I don't want to deal with any compatibility issues. It might work great. There might be nothing wrong with it, but I don't touch it if it hasn't been updated in a while. So maybe they have all the analytics that shows that, hey, apps that haven't been touched in a while don't get any more downloads or stuff like that. But yeah, it is kind of silly. They have the server space, like Steve says. They can easily keep them around.
Well, I am downloading Xcode, and we'll see in the next 2 weeks if I'm able to open up my old stickers program and jump through those hoops.
A warning for anyone who is downloading Xcode. My goodness, that thing is big.
It started downloading. It's like I'm on a fiber connection. It's just like, and I'm like in this little circle, and I'm like, how big is this stupid?
It is massive, and it takes
glad
up
I
a
got
huge amount of space.
It's probably on one of Apple's servers that's on dial-up somewhere.
It doesn't even tell you the size of it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
I was kind of surprised that they took your app off, and I was just looking at my phone and realized it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, so I have all the files, and they're just PNGs. But my concern is, this dates when I did that. I had to actually update. I had an i3 iMac in the basement somewhere. I had to put High Sierra on there to run the latest version of Xcode in order to update that app, and that was whenever that was. But I am concerned that template is just broken beyond repair. But I'm starting a 12.7 gig download, so we'll see.
Wow, that's even bigger than
Monterey,
isn't
it? The Xcode app is that I've got here, and this is an old one I should mention. This is one that I downloaded in 2015. But the one that I've got in here, this just gives you an idea of how long it's been since I did any dev work, is that's 9.8 gigabytes. that of just the app on its own. So that's quite a unit.
I'm glad I got the bigger SSD. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. So I think does anyone have anything else to add to this topic, or should we move on to the next one?
I think we can move.
Okay. All right. So the next one is Mike and Steve spent too much money at VCF. So
this is true. I'll let Mike go first. Mike, you wanna take a stab at this, and I'll just tack on.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
You all right?
Excuse me. Yeah, I sit here and I don't talk for an hour and can't talk at all.
Okay.
I'll let you look at my cat.
Thanks.
So, what was it? Oh, yeah. So I went to VCF.
VCF, Mike. VCF.
Sorry, I'm tired. So I went to VCF last weekend over in New Jersey. And, of course, we got to meet all kinds of people, a bunch of YouTubers and people that lurk in our chats. And, so it's nice to put faces with names. But, yeah, we did buy a little, well, I know I did because I overdrafted my bank account. I just calculated something wrong and forgot something else was going through. Wasn't that bad, but yeah. So yeah, I bought all the FireWire stuffs to Jay's dismay. So he should be proud of me. He's the one that got me into using FireWire, and got a couple of other things like Steve lent me a power adapter for my PowerBook 540, which I bought at the swap meet earlier this year, and. What else did I get? I don't know. I got some little things here and there. I think it's some new mouse pads. They had some really nice mouse pads this year.
Yeah,
did you find your FireWire cable yet?
Hell no.
Come on.
One of the cats thought it was a snake, and it's under his bed somewhere.
Yeah, they had these mouse pads. I got a mouse pad last year. It's kind of thin and pathetic. I got one this year, and this thing's like a 1/4 inch thick. It's freaking massive.
Yeah, like the old school ones. I love it. Show them the design of that, because that one's sold out.
Yeah, it's cool.
This one's got Spock on it, and then I got another one that just has the Vintage Computer Federation.
Yeah, I got the same ones. Yeah.
I needed mouse pads because I brought everything with me, and I totally forgot that they put these tablecloths, these black tablecloths on the tables to make them look fancier, and you can't use a mouse on them. Optical or ball, so because the tablecloth's going to move and everything, so I had to buy mouse pads. They were only $10,
No balls.
That never would have happened if you used a puck mouse.
It wouldn't have mattered either way. No mouse.
No.
Yeah, you didn't hear. No balls on the table.
They put a sign on the table. No balls in the table. No, there was an iMac there with the puck mouse, same exact problem. It just the type of tablecloth they had was not.
Yeah, it's really thin and it moves around too much. So, but yeah, I got some pretty good things. I bought an SSD interface for my Mac Pro that I really did kind of need. So, and I know Steve. I don't even know what all Steve got. Steve got so much crap.
Mike, you just hit the spot right there. He was kicking his leg and everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll
he's trying to roll. He's trying to roll on his back.
I'll share my screen in a second and just tease. I'm putting together a video and it's like 45 minutes long. Don't worry, we're not going to play the whole thing.
Yeah, I still need some video footage from you.
Yeah, but there's
that was a lovely shot of the building there.
Look at me walk backwards.
Here's where the magic happens.
Oh wow! Look at those bins; they're awesome. Oh, sorry, what do you call them? Trash cans?
Yeah, so here's our setup there. That's Sean's table there. There's Mike talking to Colin Mister. So he was at
that I didn't even know was Colin Mister, by the way. I felt like such an ass when somebody said to me, "Yeah, that was Colin Mister," and Steve, and I was like, "Which one, Steve?" He said, "The one with that mod pad." I was like, "Are you freaking serious?" I'm sitting there talking to him and everything.
Oh my God, Mike!
I'd never met him before.
I didn't meet him either, but I heard his voice. He had this Sony thing that was.
He was on camera on MacYak
3 years ago.
He still looks the same.
Like I can barely remember what I had for breakfast. You want me to remember what Holland looked like?
I drew a caricature of him, so there you go.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, so he was pretty happy with that. Sean brought his cursed K Pro, which was slightly less cursed than when we left. I'll let his video do the talking of that. This was really cool. This machine here is an actual Quadra 650, but with a medical case on it, because they did these cases for specific purposes, and that actually has a magneto-optical drive in it. And so I got some pictures of the front and the back of that.
By the way, that Acuson is actually a company that makes ultrasound machines.
Yeah.
That's what what that was initially used for.
That display was beautiful.
Yeah.
So why does the Plus have a green screen?
That was somebody modded it and painted it.
I know, but
no offense. No
like
offense, but that looks better than the thing that Dave has, or the one that Steve has.
I like that one. That one looked real. I would so do mine like that.
Did he paint it, or was that like a skin?
No, it painted it.
No, they painted it.
Okay, cool.
I just want to mention for people who aren't aware of this, the little green screen CRT that used to come with the was an option to buy with the Apple IIc. So the old Apple IIs, there was there was a little green screen for them, and it was a 9-inch CRT, and it is absolutely straight swap with the CRT and all the compact Macs. So this is when you see these ones with a green screen. Someone has basically taken the white one out and dropped the green one in. And obviously, if you use one, they often call them, it's like the Hulk mod. It's like, Hulkintosh. But the downside to them is that you're staring at that green phosphor all illuminated on there. It just kills your eyes.
This was really cool. This was flown in from the West Coast. This is a Xerox Alto of the fame of where Apple and Microsoft both looked at the original operating system running on this. And they did have it up and running. I have a clip somewhere later. I'm not going to dig through everything here. But
ultimately, this is the first sort of functional graphical user interface. Although this product was never actually sold to the public, it was only within the Fuji Xerox Palo Alto Xerox Palo Alto Research Center. Fuji got added later on. They were only ever used for internal, so they weren't actually a commercially available product. But it was really the first graphical user interface in a computer.
It was very, very effectively and efficiently stolen, though, by Apple.
I mean, look at that.
It was. People will always like to say it was stolen, but it was actually traded. Apple made a deal with Xerox that involved some shares and whatnot, and in return, they shared a lot of their sort of intellectual property with Apple.
Yeah, they didn't see the use of it. They thought it was useless.
It was something. There was for them. It was a tradable thing because they said to Apple, "Come and have a look at this stuff that we're developing." Now, of course, it's a different story for the people who actually did the work on these because they knew that they had been slaving over this stuff for years and years and years. No one at Xerox saw any value in it, and they knew that they were about to lose it. And of course, a lot of those people did end up moving to Apple and working for Apple when the Macintosh came about.
So I just want to briefly show some pictures of the consignment area because this is what we all drool over.
By the way, Colin is here now.
Oh, hey. So this was some Macs that somebody was selling. You had some other doodads and there's a display at the top of that.
Lots of displays.
We have
anyone who's wondering why we're doing that, we're all just doing Tim Cook when he says display. That's supposed to be where it comes from.
More displays.
It's great new display.
So they had a lot of everything.
I wanted that so bad, but there was no way I had the money.
It went to a good home. We saw who.
Oh yeah, who bought that?
End Commander.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What is it?
It's IBM.
It's an IBM RS6000 with a PowerPC 604 running at I think 133 megahertz.
It's an old server.
There's this Tandy here, and
it's actually a workstation, not a server.
This PCI extender, which had just oodles of PCI cards in there, $25. You lug
Somebody
it to
did buy that.
Yeah, somebody gave it to the fine folks who were doing the weather stuff. 72-pin memory, bunch of zip drives. This is where Mike found his FireWire stuff.
That was actually one of the drives I bought there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know where.
That silver one.
All these zip drives were untested. $25 is a bit much for me.
But I bought that silver iOmega drive there in the middle because it was FireWire.
Oh, there you go. And
that's the only reason I bought it.
Yeah, and then there's RetroTech Chris's left side of him or whatever side of him. But there was a box Sage iMac. If I had room in my car, I would have come home, and if I had the money. But yeah, there's just this room. So look at the notebooks at the top. Those were all MacBooks and PowerBooks. Those were gone within an hour because they were $30, $40 for the MacBooks.
Yeah, they were cheap.
And the PowerBooks were maybe $100. They were just gone.
And they were all tested, all working, and all had power supplies too.
I like the pizza box. That's a nice touch.
Somebody put a $300 price tag on this extended keyboard, and I guess it had custom switches. Somebody actually was haggling for it by the end of the show, but
was it a prototype?
No, somebody just did a custom job. iMac G3 for $80, the original.
Fair warning, I have done this at flea markets and other places. I will go to those kind of things with my own roll of price tags, and if I want something, I'll slap an obscene price on it so nobody else will look at it, and that has paid off more than once.
This was a very modified G4. Not my cup of tea, but they wanted money for it.
What's happened to you?
Lost the picture.
Oh, my screensaver went on. That's why. Sorry. This won't be too much longer. I know you've been bit, I'm sure. There. This thing. Somebody painted the hell out of it.
It's like a Nintendo theme.
Yeah,
it's kind of neat.
It was cool looking, but
it's still a Quicksilver, so it's
not
garbage.
For $250.
Yeah,
I just have a quick question for you, Steve. You at one stage showed me a picture of what do you call it? A Macintosh Portable with a pretty silly price tag on it. So there are obviously plenty out there that
did not sell.
Yeah, people are pricing it silly.
There, $900, and it had lines on the screen.
Yeah,
lines on the screen, which is not a display cable issue, folks. It is likely baked into the display.
And it also wasn't backlit.
Yeah,
it was pretty clean though.
But there were plenty of bargains to be had as well.
Oh yeah, this display was $40. 23-inch Apple Cinema display. I did not have this one. It did go home with me.
If it's got a bright picture, it'd be worth that. Yeah.
I plugged it into Sean's Cube, and it displayed beautifully. Here's some of the PowerBooks and the MacBooks that they had. I'm just speeding up here because I don't want to cover everything. Here's our booth. So I had a Mac clone powering a Laserdisc player.
Is that a Dalmatian?
This is a Flower Power. So
Wow.
Mike and I got one of them to work. Mike smacked the crap out of it, and the green gun on the
I
CRC
just
started to
tapped
fire.
it. I did. You act like I freaking hit it with a fist, and all I did was just tap it on the top with a little
had
bit of
my-
gusto.
I have my quick take, printing out photos. There's Mike's G4 iMac and his eMate and his
eMate.
prototype
You want to play
5.
too?
Steve,
With
quick
the
question.
newly acquired iOmega thingamajig. Yes, sir.
Did you do anything interesting to that iMac to keep it cool?
Yes. I had to put a fan on the back because it kept overheating.
So why was it overheating? Is the fan inside not working? Or what?
There's no fan on the slot loads, so
Yeah.
it just I think it's just old and cranky.
Just old, probably got some
Ooh.
grime on it or something like that.
UMax.
Yeah, so this booth was really cool. They had first off they had an iMac with the Voodoo card and the box. They were very kind enough to lend me the box. I scanned the front, the back, the sides, and the manual.
Bruce, I can't tell. Bruce, what color is that one?
It might be Bondi blue, I think, probably.
Could
Sorry,
be.
that color doesn't exist.
And a Performa, they had a Performa running Windows, which is very fitting because it's a Performa.
Yeah.
They had this
What-
lovely.
What are those little
VMAX here.
things?
That's
are the
from a
colours?
video game.
Those are characters from a game called
Among Us.
Among Us.
Among Us. Yes.
Here's
It's,
that,
it's unfortunately for PC only. Otherwise, it would be really fun to play because it's
Actually,
the
it's
multiplayer
also,
game.
It's also on the like Nintendo and other game consoles.
Yeah, but it's not on Mac. so
No,
it
it's not on
sucks.
Mac. Yeah.
Now this was cool. This guy Ian,
Oh,
very
the
smart
orange.
person, he built.
Steve,
Oh, sorry.
okay, go ahead. Because I want to know about this machine.
Yeah. So
Shufflebot.
this is an SE30 in a case that he customized.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, does anyone recall? I'm sure we've talked about this before. Is anyone aware of the Cat Mac? I'm
Yeah.
sure you've got a book on it.
Canon, I
There-
believe.
Yeah, no. It was actually there was a
Oh,
book,
it was the
and
to build your own and save.
Build Your
Yeah.
Own Macintosh and Save a Bundle, and that what we're looking at there looks very similar to what the end product Cat Mac looked
Yeah,
like.
it's
and
a
where you
very
would
much
essentially-
homage
yeah,
to that. Yeah.
yeah.
But it has a magneto optical drive in the front because why not?
I like the orange plasma screen.
Yeah, there's that machine on with the screen.
Ooh.
Like
That's kind of cool.
I like the
Yeah.
Amber one
Turn the
better.
brightness down, please.
Yeah. The
Oh,
amber.
yeah.
Amber's
Yeah.
easier on your eyes than that thing.
Yeah, here's some of those Xerox machines there.
I mean, sort of say what you will about them with these things, but they have such a look about them.
It says the
of-
Apple II is overrated. on the
of being from a particular time frame, a particular period in history. A lot of those screens have that look about them, which I love, absolutely love.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through. That I'm
Well,
not gonna.
You know, the first time I ever saw
Oh,
a
those
Macintosh,
rolling speakers.
You know, the very first Macintosh, I saw it at the PX in Germany, and man, the graphics on it I thought were amazing at the time. Because remember, this is back when you still had DOS and all this other stuff. And the first time I ever saw one of those, I was like, "Wow, this is
Oscilloscope.
freaking cool!" You know?
I was
Yeah,
the same.
You had to go into those rooms and buy things because they were going by quickly. Yeah, so here is one of the coolest things we've requested jokingly to be next to them again this year, and they set us next to these guys.
Is that Tech Knight?
Yeah, so but not that guy there, but he was one of the folks helping out here. But this setup here, not only were they showing off a lot of the hardware that ran the Weather Channel here in the United States, but one of the new additions was the guide preview that would show you what's up and coming on the channels on your cable service provider.
Yeah.
And so they were
Weather Star, I think.
Yeah, so they had a bunch of that set up here. There were a few new additions. They had that little TRS-80, I think, that was actually controlling the bottom scroll on that screen, which was pretty cool.
You had
And-
some of this weather stuff up the last time you went to VCF.
Yeah, that's the
I
first
really
time.
want to see that stuff in action. That is
It
so
was
cool.
so cool just to like see all these machines. And I think I have a shot somewhere of the back of the booth, and it's just so many wires just running everywhere. Oh, here's the
the
fan.
person that runs that. Does he have a YouTube channel or something where he demos this stuff?
The problem is that sort of stuff is technically in a gray area of legality, I guess, with some of the software.
Ah.
So they don't like really publicizing some of those things, to my understanding. I could be wrong.
Hey, it's your fume extractor.
It's my fume extractor. There it is.
It is being powered by my iMac G4.
Yeah, and so we were playing around with Sean's Mac there. We were getting network drivers on it and talking about how convoluted that process was. And there was this poor Mac that was degraded, and this poor thing. That was fun. But yeah, there were cool things on display, like these Newtons and portable devices. Mike was trying to take a battery out of an old machine.
You seriously filmed me doing that?
You saw me do it.
I don't remember that.
It's not my fault.
Look at all the RAM chips in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got 4 megabytes in it.
That's why they all like.
And, this thing didn't sell. This smoker's paradise of an iMac DV.
Oh my god! I went over there and started getting sick.
Yeah.
There was this one dude who dumped off a bunch of stuff, and it reminded me of back when I used to be a really heavy smoker, and then, yes, I used to smoke around my computers, and oh my god, it was so brown and disgusting.
Yeah.
And then here we have this beauty. This is a Bondi
D
in the box. And look how pretty it is.
It's Bondi.
And I actually wanted this very badly, but
how much were they wanting for it?
They originally wanted $400 for it, and they originally came down to $150. But you'll notice on the sticker, if I would hold the camera straight, it has a SCSI card in there. So
very, very unusual.
Which is very unusable. Unusable.
Finally, we agree on something.
Well, if you're Steve, it's very unusable.
But I could go on for hours. I know the show is going to wrap up not too long. So I just wanted to show.
When can we expect this video?
Oh, well, it's currently 44 minutes and 47 seconds.
Next month.
Next month. That's a better.
I would have had mine out, but Steve hasn't sent me. He said, "Oh, you can have any of the footage. You can use any of the footage I have."
Tell me what you want. I'm not giving you 80 gigabytes of data. Just tell me what you want.
Oh.
Well, how am I supposed to know what I want when I can't see it?
I have everything. Just ask for it.
Okay, just say you want everything.
I did tell him I want everything, but he won't send me everything. I forgot. He films everything. How the hell did you get 80 gigabytes on a freaking iPhone?
He shoots in 4K. So behind the screens, is that the weather stuff?
Yes, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the IntelliStar.
Awesome. I will be checking that out.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much, cool. Everblack, for commenting. I apologize that I didn't, mention that directly, but now we know. So thank you very much.
I've seen really several of Tech Knight's videos where he was putting that Weather Star stuff together. It's really fascinating.
Tech Knight was doing some cool stuff about that. And it's always cool because every time they come to the show, they bring out different things. I think they're going to try to make it to VCF Midwest. So if you didn't catch Med East, that's something cool to do. So yeah, it was a fun was had by all. K-Pros were exploded. Everyone is happy.
The K-Pros were pre-exploded.
I'll shut up now so we can continue the show.
So when is the next VCF in?
I think in October. I don't know if they announced the date yet, but just go to vcfed.org, and that has all the information there whenever they post events, whenever they do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to go, but I was told that in the beige circles, I am not welcome. So I stayed home.
Well, I was going to go too, but something came up that I was not able to go. So
yeah, so they have VCF West, which is in August. I don't think anything else has been officially announced yet. Just go to vcfed.org for all the information. So there you go.
Okay.
And they put out a fantastic show. All the volunteers and folks, it was free for the exhibitors to come in and set up, and we all had a blast. So
I have to ask this. You obviously bought stuff. Did you sell stuff?
No. That Mike and I sold stuff in February.
He gave stuff away.
We gave stuff away, but in February we sold stuff, and then at the end, Mike and I were just like, "Here, take this, please."
Well, actually, I did. I sold a computer. I sold a Packard Bell.
And I brought a digital sender, an old scanner, and I left it in the free pile. And thank goodness someone took it, so I didn't have to take it. And I got this from the free pile. This desk accessory piece of software here.
Master Juggler, font management tool.
Well, it's for all desk accessories, probably mostly fonts, but it's sealed.
Yeah.
So, pardon.
Nice. Okay, so next topic. Apple's self-service repair store is live.
Hey, Steve.
Does someone want to take the intro for this one?
He's got my stickers.
Sure. About 4 or 5 months ago, Apple announced that they would launch a service such as this, where you can buy parts for your iPhone, latest few versions of iPhone, and Macs going forward. So that's
US
going
only
to
for
be-
the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's now live. It looks promising. There are some, it is Apple, so it's not perfect. The parts you can buy are serialized parts only. So you have to provide a serial number or an IMEI number before you can get the parts for an iPhone or something, I believe. Sorry. But the prices are not unreasonable. You can even buy or rent the tools you need to get it done.
Cool.
And there are rebates if you send the old part back. So it's a good start. I know a lot of people are ragging on it on YouTube. iFixit wrote an article about it too, that it's nice, but it's not great. I think it's a good start. So if you need I think right now they only have iPhone 12, 13, and SE parts. The M1 Max stuff is still coming. But if you're into doing these repairs or just want to repair your own device, it's worth checking out. I mean, I'll probably still be buying my stuff from iFixit for the foreseeable future, but it's a good start, I think.
So what's the deal about the serialized stuff? Now, I know that's the biggest issue with a lot of people. What I've been reading is that you can't just go and like take an old iPhone that has a good screen but a bad logic board and swap the screen to a iPhone that has a bad screen but a good logic board.
Well, you can, but it won't work properly.
Exactly, and that's why I think, and Apple's letting you do the configurator part online. I think, correct, Jay?
I haven't read that far into it because right now I'm not doing any phone repairs. I work on Macs, not phones, so I'm not really going to get interested until they start offering the Mac stuff. But small segue, we've seen from the teardown videos and stuff how repairable actually the Mac Studio is. Like the ports all have their individual cables, little modules, and if you can order all that stuff on that self-service website soon, I think that's a pretty fantastic step in the right direction.
But
it's not going to help us getting a drive sled for a 2012 Mac Pro or a display cable for one of those beige things. But, going forward, I think it'll be helpful to have.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think it's definitely a move in the right direction. I think Apple are going down this path because of pressure from people, for the idea of, being more environmentally friendly and that sort of stuff. I guess I think that's, probably a lot to do with it. I think that if that pressure wasn't there, they'd probably be just as happy to not do this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this stuff is getting repaired anyway. People are, getting knockoff screens and stuff like that because people are, manufacturing these replacement parts, and you can buy them, as you say, from iFixit and stuff like that. You can replace your own battery, and yes, you might lose the functionality of some things on the phone, whether it be the Touch ID or something like that. But at the end of the day, the phone still works. You can still do something with the phone rather than nothing. So I guess if you look at it from the perspective that people are spending their money on that as it is, it makes sense for Apple to say, well, why don't we look at trying to get some of that money too? And people can know they're buying a genuine part. And if they're buying something that is, serialized to the phone, they can actually get a proper replacement product that will still work after being swapped over. So
I think that one of the comments that I read, I completely agree with, is that Apple is trying to just get sort of a bit of leeway between them and the laws that will no doubt be cracking down on them in the next coming months or years or whatever. They're trying to make these baby steps of like, no, we're friendly for right to repair, but they're dragging their feet on this. They
Oh yeah,
are
definitely.
for years they've had this attitude of this, and and we all are very critical of Apple when we feel like they're not doing the right thing. I am very much happy that they're taking a step in the right direction. Obviously, every single one of us will say, well, you can do more, and I hope and think that they will do in the as this move forwards. It's just a brand new program. Now we're finally starting to see some stuff out of it. So hopefully it continues in that direction.
Yeah, and the people that are not too familiar with this are like, oh yeah, look, they're doing the right thing. The people that are familiar with this know that while they are offering this, they are still throwing millions of dollars at lobbyists to block right to repair at every turn, or to tell Texas Instruments like, hey, this is a generic IC, but because you're making it for us, you're not allowed to sell it to anyone else. Stuff like that, they are still actively doing. So it is like Steve said, probably a way to appease the masses and the angry right to repair people for now. But as Bruce also said, they don't want to do it.
I think it also, they are copying a lot of competition from the Android products. I think it also helps them be competitive in that as well. If someone is going down the path of deciding what phone they want to buy and then say, well, the advantage here is if you get an Android, if you drop the screen or something like that, you'll be able to get that replaced really easily. With the Apple one, it's going to cost you a packet or something like that. So I suppose it's maybe something that helps them be competitive in the market as well. Just throwing ideas out there.
One of the upsides for this website is they make service manuals available now. Right now, still just a few iPhones. But you can take those manuals that are very detailed, like we've seen from their manuals in the past. You could take that manual and get your parts from iFixit or somewhere else and still have a great manual that shows you the screw types, where every screw goes, and all the good stuff from the service guides you can use with parts you get somewhere else. So
Cool.
It'd be funny if Apple actually kind of copied most of iFixit stuff to put in their manuals, because
well, the manuals historically, their manuals have been nothing short of perfect. They always updated them really well. They don't give you this screen swap is going to take 5 hours and is extremely difficult, like iFixit says. But Apple will tell you straight, like, hey, this is a 10-minute job. If you have the right tools, do this, this, and that, and you're done. So I've always liked their service guides.
I sort of recently did I think it was a screen or a battery or something on a device, and I got the screen off. I was like, okay, what's the next step? And I scroll down and it's like, oh, I've just done the first 24 steps in taking the screen off. It's like, you're already halfway down the page. You've only done one thing.
Yeah, but I guess that's a good thing for people that have never, ever worked on a device of any kind. I guess it's not bad having too much information, but yeah, for me, it annoys me when I pull up a guide that, oh, they have this little skill at the top, like how difficult it is. Like, no, it's not.
I mean, that's handy for people who aren't used to it, but
yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we could probably start on the old, sort of what's it, self-promotion and stuff.
Shameless self-promotion.
Shameless self-promotion, because we've covered all of the main topics tonight. So I think we'll just take an opportunity to go around the room and see what's in store, what's coming up for everyone. Top left corner, start with Steve. What's happening?
Well, I'm gonna poke and prod my Quadrate 40AV until I kill it again, and so that will be happening sometime next week. I have a ton of meetings and interviews and stuff coming up, so I've been slammed. But I will try and do some more live streams. I have some boards of Clint of LGR fame on YouTube has sent me some Mac boards to recap, so I do have to get to those.
Cool.
And a bunch of other things to do. Grudy, you look like you're spaced out. You're like, yeah, man. Grudy.
No, I'm looking up at you right now, Steve. Hey.
Okay.
Why is he up there?
Now you're looking at my pants. Keep your eyes down. But yes, I'll be live streaming. That VCF video will hopefully get out in a reasonable time frame. Yeah.
And you're streaming after Macyak with the continuation of the 840 AV, right?
If my wife doesn't want to watch a movie, maybe, I don't know.
Ooh.
Okay, we'll keep pressuring him, folks. So just keep your fingers crossed.
I do 3 days in a row. That'll be 3 days in a row. Jeez.
I will go next. I have received a Macintosh 2FX board from Kai Robinson in the UK that he has sort of working. It's got a few problems there. He sent it to me to see if I can get it going. So I'm going to probably live stream that this weekend, see if I can get the thing up and running again.
Right.
So I haven't decided which day. I'll consult with Kai because he will probably want to watch it as well. And of course, he's in a whole different time zone to me. It will be either tomorrow or the day after. I'll be live streaming that. So how about you, Jay?
I will be watching you guys live stream.
That's all Jay does. Come on now.
Yeah, I think we'll get some live streams soon, won't we, Jay? I think we will definitely get some soon. Yeah, I think you're starting to buckle.
Me.
Well, like Jay says, he starts a new job here soon. So
Yeah, I have until May 9th to stream whatever I want. I just have nothing to stream about until May 9th.
Get down to, I've said to him, all he has to do is get down to the basement, pull out some old computer, pull it apart, and then put it back together again. I mean, I'd watch that.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do. How about you, Gritty? Anything interesting coming up?
Well, yeah, I'm going to finally do the video I said I was going to do a few weeks ago on that last video.
You mean your Macintosh one?
You'll
Yeah, the Macintosh one at the end of April. Yeah,
no, it'll be in May, right? Because you only got 2 more days and.
Yeah, I finally got used to my new medication, and I'm not sleeping all the time now. So
Macintosh.
Energetic. Yeah, Macintosh. Yay.
Okay, well, that's good. That's something to look forward to. Can we have a time frame? Or is that too much to ask?
Hopefully
August.
by the mid part of next week.
August.
Oh,
Come on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
Place your bets
Okay,
in the chat, folks. What do you-
Dana, you doing any stuff?
That would be a no.
Yeah, but not on camera.
So close.
I'm helping a buddy move this weekend. That's pretty much my weekend in a nutshell.
Well, in that case, Dana will be doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There just won't be a video.
There's just no proof that he does stuff.
That's
Ever.
right.
GT, how about you?
I don't have anything planned lately, so that would be a no for me. But I do need to get and do some streaming or make some more videos. I still need to. I'm kind of going to work on my ham radio stuff some more, but I want to get that stuff knocked out and get that out too. But we'll see.
Cool.
Ham, yum. How about you? Mike? Are you still floating away in the background?
Yeah,
there?
I'm still here.
Anything?
So-
Anything on the cards?
Well, apparently I got roped into participating in a live stream on Saturday with the Canadian Computer Collector, so that kind of wrote off my entire live stream plans for the weekend. So apparently I have to spend several hours on a live stream listening to him belch.
No, we'll add to the belching. You'll be in stereo surround.
So I'm going to be spending Saturday with some hoser in Canada, looking at some antique crap that's probably older than him.
Yeah, sounds like a fun.
Because I think he's kind of finished exploring a lot of the Apple equipment, and he's now going to be looking at the sort of the PC type equipment.
Yes, we have
That's
some-
why you are.
subscribing.
Some Apple and Commodore stuff, I believe.
Okay, excellent. Oh, that will be fun. That will definitely be fun. And you'll be pleased to know that I've streamed with him a couple of times, and he does keep the burping to a minimum. And he's only farted once. So,
Oh, God.
Only once.
Only once. Well, that I'm aware of, that I could hear. I mean,
we got a few minutes left of the show. We could break that record live. Come on, folks.
Well, that's okay. That's better than what I have in the background, which is one of the reasons I have my camera off. I want to try to keep this a family-friendly show.
Oh, God.
I have just noticed a van pull out the front of the house that is probably dropping a delivery off. Now, if
Wine?
that person,
Is it wine?
no, it's not wine. It's not
Wine?
Plenty of
Wine?
They come by
Why?
the truckload now.
If I have to go and answer that, someone else might have to close out the show. But I'll
and
just.
Justin is streaming after, so there you go.
Okay, he might be just dropping it off and going. Yep, he just dropped it off and went, so that's fine. Okay, so anyhow, we have a Discord. Please jump on and have a look. I certainly these days I'm pretty busy on the Discord, but if you actually want my attention specifically, just do the little @ sign thingy, because yeah, as I say, I've got Discord open most of the time these days, yeah, so that's a really good thing. Tinker Different. Oh, MacYak website. We've got the MacYak website, which of course we haven't updated in ages, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Tinker Different. Check that out. If you haven't, go and register. It's a great hub of information. It's like these days when people are asking me for technical advice, I'm generally just pointing them straight to Tinker Different because there are, really good, helpful people on there that know way more than I do. So yeah, it's the place to be. What else? Is there anything else I've forgotten? Anyone?
I think there's a few people that forgot to smash the like button.
Oopsie. Yep. Okay. So don't forget to. Hang on.
Push
I'm not
it.
clicking.
Push it. Push it. Push it. Here it is.
Smash that like button.
God,
How many
was
idiots
so
does it take to push the
buttery
button?
smooth.
have we seen a kitty yet?
Oh, there.
Yeah, there he went.
Whoop.
Twice.
There we go.
That's the direction the show's going.
Yes, indeed.
Poor Prada.
So look, I think that's probably it. So unless anyone else has anything else to say, I'd say we'll probably wrap it up for another. Sorry if people don't understand what the word fortnight means. It's like 14 nights, so it's 2 weeks. So we'll see you in a fortnight.
You
Just
could
let
say
you know,
weeks.
because I typed that into the chat today, and someone seemed very confused by that
Not
word.
a stupid
So,
game.
in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yes, that's right. We've got honey. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and we will see you in another 2 weeks' time. So, bye.
Bye now.
Oh.